quite an interesting resume. He was a Swiss Guard. He may not look like it now, but
thank you.
The law of gravity takes over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
As like myself, I was, when I was a college seminarian, I was this height and 117 pounds. And there's a picture of me in a cassock, and it looks like a black line going down the center of the photo. So he was a Swiss Guard, and then he came here, and in New Hampshire, he opened a classical academy, and most recently has established a program at Catholic University for priests on administration. And if you gentlemen have indicated you had no preparation in seminary for any work in schools, I'm sure equally you had no preparation for anything to do with finance. And so it's important to pull these things together. So Mario very graciously agreed to come on board today. And
thank you very much. Well, why don't we start with a prayer, right? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord, forgive us when we get so caught up in goals that we lose our real focus. In the hustle and bustle of trying to do good things, we many times forget the important things, like going to you in prayer. Help us to remember the example of the saints, especially of Saint John Paul II, and take things one day at a time. Always keep our hearts and minds centered on you, and not worry about the end results, but rather have faith that you will provide through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and an honor for me to be able to talk to priests. Let me clue you in why. First of all, I have three brothers-in-law. Excuse me. I have one brother-in-law who's a priest in Denver. Anybody from Denver here? No. He was director of vocation for 11 years. Anybody who was a director of vocation here? Yes. Father Jim Chrisman went to Steubenville.
Oh, I know.
Okay, that's my brother-in-law. Then, from my wife's side, she has two cousins that are two priests. One is in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and the other one is in the Archdiocese of Boston. Okay. Then, from my side, my dad is Swiss, my mom is Italian. From my dad's side, I have a Carthusian. My dad's brother is a Carthusian. From my mom's side, my two uncles were missionary from the PIME, Pontificio Istituto Missioni Estere. One died in Brazil, and the other one is still in Cambodia. So helping clergy is somehow always been in my heart, okay? But I was born and raised in a small village in the northern part of Italy, and the name of the village is Sotto il Monte. Oh. Guess who was born in Sotto il Monte beside me and my mom's family? Pope Saint John the 23rd. So I grew up in that village with basically everything being called Papa Giovanni. Even the pizza, margherita, plain cheese, it's called Papa Giovanni. I went to the Papa Giovanni school. I went to the Salesian high school called Papa Giovanni instead of John Bosco. Can you imagine? All right. So I grew up surrounded by Papa Giovanni labels everywhere. So I was definitely, one of those New Age Catholic that didn't really care about his faith, as you can imagine. And my mom wanted 15 children. Unfortunately, the Lord blessed her with 4 boys, but my 3 brothers died in a car accident. And so I was raised alone as a single child. And because my mom was, going through some depression, I ended up going to school when I was 5, and I entered in 3rd grade when I was 5. And school was always very easy. I never really studied. I was always in class with girls, so they did all my homework. They will prepare me. I came out of graduate school with my doctorate, and that day I said to myself, okay, I'm dating Carla Bruni, who's today she's married to the former president of France. I had long hair. I was a killer, long hair, typical, Rolex, nice shoes, living in Milano. My professor was Don Carlo Giussani, the founder of Communion and Liberation. Okay, so but at the Sacro Cuore all the time. But my goal was only one, and my goal was to leave it until it was 40. Because that's what you do in Italy. Why do you only leave home for 9 years? What? You know, you live at home, your mom does all the cooking, the laundry, you drive your dad car, he doesn't ask you for money for utilities, he pays for the car, he fills the tank. Why do you want to leave that? But my dad didn't agree with me, and so my dad came and he says, you know what? Let's stop the ball here for a second. You need to join an army. And I said, join an army? And he said, yeah, you have dual citizenship, Swiss, my father Swiss, so born in Italy, but took my dad's citizenship, and Italian, being born in Sotto il Monte, Bergamo. And so he says, Swiss army, boot camps, 17 weeks. Italian army, boot camps, 54 weeks. Was an easy choice. And he said, keep in mind that whichever army you choose, you're gonna lose the other citizenship. At that time, there was no reciprocity between Switzerland and Italy. Okay, so I said, I don't need a piece of paper to say that I'm Italian. I yell as an Italian. I swear as an Italian. I speak with my hands. I don't need a piece of paper to say that I'm Italian. So he said, Swiss Army. And when I joined the Swiss Army, let me just tell you one thing, to be honest, since we are recorded, and then I went to play guilty at the end. The Swiss people are crazy. I thought that the people in Charlotte are crazy. No, I'm joking, okay? But the people there is a navy in Switzerland. There is no ocean in Switzerland. How can you have a navy if there is no ocean? You know, they have a battleship, they have a submarine, small one, 100 soldiers in the submarine, in the coastal lake. Can you imagine a submarine going through perches and trouts instead of, you know, sharks or whatever? Anyway, when I was in the army, the first week that I got there, keep in mind, ponytail, living in Milano, super relaxed dude. They gave me a 50 calibers. I don't know if any of you is familiar with what the word caliber means. So 50 calibers is the meaning of masculinity. A real man in his life, even the Irish, where is the Irish guy? Even the Irish priest needs to shoot a 50 cal followed by a Glenlivet 20 right after. Okay? We explained to some of them what Glenlivet 20 is, because everybody drinks Glenlivet 12, but that's just for little girls. Okay? So they gave me a 50 cal. I shot the 50 caliber, my right shoulder left my body. It came back 7 weeks later. I walked around like that. Okay? So while I was in the military, one day I said, I gotta get out of here. I gotta find a way to get out of here. And I remembered that I was captain. And so I went to my captain and I said, you know, I've been missing maps for the past 7 Sundays. If my mom finds out, she's gonna come up here, we are in trouble. And he says, no problem. Tomorrow morning, get ready, your uniform to go out. Somebody will be here to take you to mess. And I thought, perfect. This is my way to get out of here. I didn't want to go to mess. I was just looking for a ride to get downtown. I was on the beautiful city of Montreux, which is, you know, La French part of Switzerland, Russian girls, lots of alcohol, any kind of vices or lust that you are looking for. It's right there, everything in that city, okay? And so I thought, I'm going to get out of the barracks, come out of the mountain, go down. But the Lord started this relationship with me that day. Because the dude that showed up to give me a ride, instead of being a simple soldier, first and foremost, he was a major. And I thought, this is going to require some skills that we as men, because the two of them do have them, but we don't. We as men, we don't have those skills. You know, we cannot be so quick in coming up with something. If it doesn't come up within the first 5 seconds, nothing comes. You know? Yeah! Like when my wife says, we have 5 children, we've been married 25 years, she says, you have nothing to say? No, I don't. If it doesn't come in the first 5 minutes, it doesn't come. With all the bishops that I teach, I always say, Bishop, stop it, because the more you think, the more you're going to melt. It's not coming. Nothing is coming, all right? And so, with huge surprise, while I was thinking, how am I going to get out of this? Instead of coming up with something, I just allowed him to take me and he arrived in front of a small church of St. Martin de Tours.
Said Messner.
You said St. Martin. And all of a sudden, he passes the front of the church, gets on the side, there's a small door. Come out. He's a major, what I'm going to do? No. Insubordination, I don't think so. So I get out, I follow him, I go into through the little door, that was the sacristy. And this son of a gun takes the uniform off, puts an arm on, puts a stole on. And I'm thinking, who the heck is this guy? Enzler! Who is this? He was one of your brothers. He was a Catholic priest at chapel. So the Lord that day, instead of allowing me to go for the city of Montreux, on leveraging on my wrong cut that I had on my little medal, okay, put me in a parish with the chaplain that was the pastor. On that Sunday that they were starting 40-hour adoration devotion, so I was the altar boy, the lecturer, and then I had to sing, oh, salutaris hostia, tantum ergo, do the incense. I did it all. And on my way back, I was furious because obviously my plan had gone on the other side. But on my way back, that guy out of the blue says, soldier, I looked at your file. I seriously think you should join the Swiss Guards. You know who the Swiss Guards are, right? I said, well, I do know who the Swiss Guards are, but Father, Major, I don't know how to call you, but you really think that I'm the kind of guy that can be dressed as a clown, standing still for hours, holding on a spear, but most of all, without talking? And he says, well, you just gave a partial description of what a Swiss Guard is. But you know, the Swiss Guard, they also carry a noble mission. I said, they carry a noble mission. What does that mean? Well, 3 Latin words. Defensores libertatis ecclesiae. Protectors of the church's freedom. Wow. What does that mean? I like that concept. I got to figure out what that is. You know, my undergrad was in classics. So, I like that concept. And so I finished my 17 weeks and I went back home. And my dad approached me and said, well, you know, now I'm going to tell you what's next. And I said to my dad, no, I'm going to join the Swiss Guards. And my mom, typical Italian, you know, 5'5", round, you know, she constantly cooking and cleaning everything because, you know, we never had a dishwasher because they don't clean the dishes, you know. Dishwasher, they do nothing, okay? And so my mom hears this, she comes out from the kitchen, I kid you not, she was doing the gnocchi, and she says, where are you going? I says, to the Vatican, I'm joining the Swiss Guard. And my mom says, oh really? What's the name of the current Pope? Oh, I said, Papa! Hey, nice try, she said, nice try. Nice try. Well, that was the beginning, okay? So I joined the Swiss Guards, and then while I was in Rome, I fell in love with an American woman that she was studying at the Angelicum. She was getting her STD in dogmatic theology. And then when she left, I was finishing my 3rd year as a guard. And I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to stay in Rome or I'm going to follow my heart. And so I decided to follow my heart. I came to the United States in New Hampshire for 2 months because I wanted to learn the language. And then I was going to go back to Switzerland, starting my banking career. And then I was going to propose. But then when I came here, I thought, wait a second, why am I going to go back to Switzerland by myself when maybe I should propose, get married, and then go back to Switzerland? And so I did. I proposed when we were here, and I got married in Austria, in a small city called Gaming, because my wife is a former Steubenville grad, and so we knew Gaming, and so we got married in Gaming, so that the Italian and the Swiss and the American, they all had to travel. And then I started my banking career that in a huge bank called UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland, that moved us around quite a bit. And we lived in Hong Kong, we live in Singapore, we live in London. And then in 2007, my father-in-law passed away. And my mother-in-law didn't want to come and live. At that time, we were living in Lugano, which is the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland, which is as close to heaven as you can. 198 days of sunshine. Not even San Diego has such a beautiful weather, okay? And so my mother-in-law didn't want to come to Switzerland, and she didn't want to go to Denver to live with her son, priest. And so my wife had to come up with an idea of how can I take care of my mom, who's now a widow. Okay, my father-in-law died very quickly of pancreatic cancer. And so, let's go there. I said, okay, 5 children, myself, my wife. I didn't really bite into it. So we left Switzerland, went to New Hampshire, and for a little bit, I tried to commute. You know, I will take a flight on Sunday night out of Boston, and I will fly back on Friday. And then, you know, we were homeschooling, okay? And then one day, a few people said to me, what is this concept of introducing Catholic education in a state, New Hampshire, that is basically but Catholic, okay? And I said, well, that's the way I was educated. Education equal formation, not information. That's the dogma that I grew up with. Therefore, I believe that that's what my children ought to receive. There isn't anything around here because Catholic education in New Hampshire sucks. Okay, the superintendent is a lovely nun, 93 years old. She's been living, you know, in the 50s, and she forgot that we need to fix things, unfortunately, but not because of incompetence, but because of lack of supports and knowledge and resources, okay? The last ordination in New Hampshire for a priest was, I think, 3 years ago. The poor guy, dear friend of mine, left the priesthood after 6 months. It's a disaster. People think that Ireland is messed up. Yeah, go to New Hampshire and Vermont, then we can talk. All right? And so I started a school. And because I didn't want to go under the umbrella of the diocese to become a Catholic school, I went around. I'm a business guy, okay? So I went around that and I created a private school rooted in the Catholic tradition. And I introduced a curricula that now I'm going to explain to you what brought me to establish this school with my wife. And today, even though I'm not there anymore because I'm a professor at Catholic University, the school still going. 120 students, K through 12, a budget of 425,000. Some of you that has a lot of hair, lose them all. Because in a parish with a school of 120 students, usually the budget is between 800 and 1 million. How the heck can you do it? The answer is very simple. There is no money in education. No money. Therefore, if somebody wants to become a teacher, hoping to make money, well, then don't teach in a Catholic school. That is no money. There is no career. Teaching is a mission, is a vocation call, is an answer to a call. Therefore, there is no money. And I tried, completely unaware, to establish the concept of stewardship in the Diocese of Wichita, Kansas. You are very well aware that in Wichita, Kansas, Catholic education costs 0 bananas. It's free for everybody because of the stewardship implemented by the bishop at early 2000. Actually, mid-90s to be precise. The culture of the people. In New Hampshire, didn't work out. And so I created this school, and this school is successful. And believe me when I say that the majority of the students of New England Classical Academy, this is the name of the school, are not Catholic. But since the beginning of the school, 2009, we had 11 families entering the Catholic Church. Why? Well, because when you're in 9th grade and you start reading Homer, and when you are in 10th grade and you read Dante, and when you are in 11th grade and you read Thomas More, or you read whatever, questions come. And guess what the student wants? He wants answers. And if he can't get the answers because his family is Mormon, or if he can't get the answer because the family is atheist, guess what he's going to ask the question? To the faculty. And my faculty, 100% Catholic. So when you have Catholic faculty and the child has question, guess what? He's going to have the correct answer. And that's it. The Holy Spirit that comes and stirs the pot. And I had a Mormon family entering the Catholic Church. You know how freaking hard it is? Okay, so the fundamental idea in education of the young, my beloved friends, is the fact that it is through the younger generation that society successively rebuilds itself. Therefore, I deeply believe that the primary concern of society is to teach the young. But what does education consist of? Well, I'm a business guy, and therefore, in my definition, all human beings desire to know reality. There are many who wish to deceive others, but few who want to be deceived. Education, therefore, must serve the supernatural dignity and destiny of a child, allowing him or her to blossom in the social dimension. In ancient times, you know, when Father Peter grew up,
Nice try.
nice, right? Education was reserved for an elite of free men only. You know that, okay? You all have an MD, okay? So today, in democratic societies, all men and women participate together in what? In ruling our society, even if only by electing representatives to do so. And the education that used to be reserved to aristocrats is now a necessary qualification for everyone. If we all are to rule, we all need to become wise. And the key to wisdom, guess what? Is to understand the unity, or as I call it as a businessman, the interrelationship of all human knowledge. And that is where Catholic education comes. Language, grammar, syntax exist for a purpose. And that purpose is revealed only in the search of and for the truth. As Chesterton saw, it is the search for truth that keeps us sane, because it always brings us back to reality. And why is reality so important? It is what we are made for, because reality is the food of the soul, for crying out loud. A Catholic education does not split the difference between producing cogs for the machine of society or mere commodities for the job market. It transcends this. It makes free individuals who can come to the aid of other people and work together as equals. People say today, in DC where I live right now, I hear it often, that Catholic education does not prepare children for the real world. Real. It doesn't get you a job that will support your family and contribute to the gross national product. Really? How could it not? It is the only one instead that does. A Catholic education is a curious, one might even say inspired, combination of two insights that even to this day people think are in conflict. Pagan philosophy, okay, and civic virtue. Pagan philosophy and civic virtue. I probably have some moral students here. You should just come here and I'll shut up and I'll sit down. But let me just carry my thought here. So pagan philosophy and civic virtue on the one hand, and combined with Christian revelation and humility on the other. Think about it. This is known in shorthand as the relationship between Athens, as you call it here, and Jerusalem. Okay? So unlike so many people today, I am, Mario Enzler, confident that you know the story. Okay? So I'm not going to turn my few more minutes of entertainment into a lesson, but please allow me to challenge you for a moment with my excitement, okay, with a little story. In the study of metaphysics, which is in many ways the high point of the combination between Athens and Jerusalem, there is an idea known as the transcendental properties of being. I'm sure you know about this. properties, transcendental properties of being. Today, you're also being introduced to the concept of classical education. So I'm serving the dude that is going to follow me on a silver platter, the lesson, okay? These transcendental properties of being, these are three. And they can be said of everything that exists. What are those? Unity, truth, and goodness. Unity, truth, and goodness. If we take them in order, okay, now bear with me, I'm a business dude, okay? So if we take them in order, let's start with unity for a moment. For something to exist, it must be one thing. I, for instance, I have one name, even though maybe in the other room somebody might object that, but we don't tell them. Okay? Each of you is one. One individual person as each cat or dog or cattle is his own. The conundrum arises when we consider that I am made of different parts, right? I have two hands, not one. I have two eyes, not one. Four in my case. And I have, at least for a while, more than few strands of hair on my head. Now, unfortunately, I'm done. So, how am I unity? Do I really have to ask that? To encounter me is to know that I am one thing. I have unity, even if this unity is constructed of many parts. I simplify the concept. I hope that you are with me. Truth, which is the second. I told you I'm a business guy, so I'm not quoting anybody, all right? I'm just giving my thoughts. Truth is the second property of being, and it simply means that anything that is can be understood or apprehended properly or improperly. My name is Mario, I'm not Charlie. If you think my name is Charlie, well, you are wrong. Nor I am Ragliese. If you think so, well, please, maybe we should just give me your email and you can email it to my wife to tell her that I am a Ragliese, okay? But the point is that anything that exists can be known, and we can know that rightfully, or we cannot know it. That is, we can be mistaken. So, unity, the first property, tells us that each thing is one thing. And the second property that I just described, truth, tells us that we can know these units, or at least be able to make statements about them that are objectively true or false. And this brings to what? To goodness, for the final property. The idea is, my beloved friends, or at least new friends, is that everything that exists has the potential to be a good version of itself. More than that, everything has the potential of being desirable, that is, seen to be good from the outside. This may be the most controversial and the most difficult part of the point I'm trying to make, because how can anyone say, for instance, that mosquitoes are good? Are mosquitoes good, for crying out loud? Well, certainly there can be better mosquito and worse mosquitoes, insofar as being a mosquito is concerned. But considering this way, mosquitoes are fascinating. They might not be fascinating when buzzing in the middle of the night while you are in bed, okay? But if you think about those for a moment, and if you look at one up close, they are extremely fascinating. Their body, the way they are constructed, well, then it becomes good. I do not want to go on about mosquitoes, okay? Because I do not know anything about these creatures, but I chose the mosquitoes only because personally they annoy me, and of all things I find them the most difficult to appreciate as being good. Okay, that's very simple. But what I want you to see here is the way that the three properties of being can be expressed together, even in the case of the mosquito. To make it simple, as a business guy would do. I'm lowering it. Sorry if I'm lowering the bar for you guys, but that's where I am. I know that you're all up there. I am down here. Okay. So when we take one thing, a mosquito, and try to understand that we can see it for itself as something that is good. So we have unity, we have truth, and we have goodness. Now, how is this little story on the transcendental properties of being in any way supposed to interest you? Well, what I want you to see here is that Catholic education puts its students in a very special positions as regard all elementary, middle, and high school students out there today. Catholic education, the study of history, literature, classical languages is more than only the study of those things. It is the study based on this principle that I just described, that I have called the transcendental properties of being. And many modern schools, many secular schools, do not believe that there is any unity, any truth, or any goodness. As they see it, Homer or Dante or St. Thomas just slapped together a bunch of ideas. They weren't really in command of the whole thing. So lots of parts contradict themselves. And so they are afraid of saying that anything is actually good. And these scholars, teachers, would then teach your students. And that's how we lose a generation. Sucks, I know. You may encounter these people. You might have them sitting in your pews at Sunday Mass. The point is that Catholic educated students have something they do not have. Their souls are divided between what they believe or say they believe and what they must believe in order to live. Your schools have not inflicted this burden, I hope, on the children. Your schools, your Catholic schools, in your parishes. And this is a marvelous thing. And for this, I will always encourage you to please keep up the good work. Because it means that your students will enjoy the world around them, reveal in the marvels of creation, and seek to understand it all in the assurance that it can be understood. John Paul II frequently demonstrated to us, Swiss Guard, his gratitude for our Petrine service. That is the service to the successor of Peter. And he never missed the chance to express that gratitude, sometimes to a point to joking around with you. Now, like that time, for instance, was a Wednesday general audience. At the end of the general audience, my duty was to leave the Aula Paolo VI and go behind where he was going to come to jump into the car to go back into the Apostolic Palace. Okay? So, that day, well, that time in my service, the Holy Father has a butler. Every Pope has a clergy secretary and a laity secretary. You have to have them both. Okay? You can't have just one or the other. You need the two of them. Okay? And the lay secretary, Angelo Guggia, had two daughters. And, you know, he wanted me to, hey, come on, you don't like Cristiano or Raffaella? No. Oh, no, come on, you need to go to a movie. You know, we were kind of teasing each other, okay? So that day, to just go back to the fact that the Holy Father always paid attention to us, they arrive from the Aula Paolo VI. I see them coming. I go up in my salute. Angelo, you know, he carries the big bag with all the rosary and stuff inside. He's in front of the Holy Father. When he arrives in line with me, okay, when he arrives in line with me, you know, I'm wearing my black helmet with the red feathers, you know, white gloves. He recognized me. So what did that son of a gun decide to do? So he elbows me right below my sternum. That caused me to go down with the helmet exactly when the Holy Father was in line, and the Holy Father had to move because otherwise I would have given 15 stitches on his head with the tip of my helmet. Okay, so I come back up, I fix my helmet, I'm all cyanotic, you know, I'm trying to not spit everywhere. I go back up like this, you know, and the Holy Father looks at me, winks at me, and says, "Mario, there is no need to bow." Really? that day, exactly that day, I saw him again. And this time, I had to bring him a package. And I was at the end of my shift. I was kind of in a hurry. And so you go in, and the protocol is you knock the door of the office, which is where they say the Angelus, second floor of the Apostolic Palace, third floor, second window. You knock, and then you open the door, and then you stay, because the door is small, but the wall is big and thick. So when you open the door, then you close it, it's like you are in a little cave, okay? So now I am there with, I had, you know, those vanilla envelopes that they are like orange, and you feel like you want to pop all the bubbles, okay? So there were documents in there, which is not the Swiss Guard competencies. I don't even know why I had to take them there. And the only father was writing. So here is a little kick that not even any of your bishop knows about this. The only father always wrote with the same pen. Mont Blanc. He loved his Mont Blanc. Ask your husband to buy a Mont Blanc. Or the next time you have to buy a present for your husband, buy a Mont Blanc. Okay?
I'm married to Jesus.
There you're a sister. Okay, I'm always confused when I don't recognize, but I try. Anyway, so I buy you know, he always wrote with the pen. The Mont Blanc, the small one, made gold, white gold, the tip. The one that you suck the ink up, okay? And he was writing and writing. And he wrote almost as a third grade teacher. And to write in Polish, that there are no vowels, okay? There are no vowels in your language, there are no vowels, okay? In Slovak and so on. And I'm there, and behind him there was a clock. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes, and I'm standing there, and he's writing, and he's not paying attention to me. I decided to do what every single dude. I clear my throat. And when I clear my throat, the Holy Father finished like the word, kept the pen on the paper, looked up, immediately recognized me and said, Mario, patience is a virtue. And he went back writing. So now you feel very cool, right? Your boss basically just puts you back into the box that you belong to. And I'm standing there, okay? And I'm noticing that under his left hand, there was a book. And I thought, he's definitely writing something in relationship to that book. By that time of my service, I had fell madly in love with him. Everything that he was writing, I was trying to read. I was paying very, very, very close attention to when he was talking. I was looking at his mimics, his posture. He was an amazing man and super actor. Okay, so I wanted to be like him. And so I thought, wait, I got to see what that book is, because that's something for me to definitely read. It's so important. But his hands was on it, and I couldn't see it. Finally, when he says yes, says your Santitam, this is for you. So when I did the 2 steps to go, he left go of the book with his left hand, and I was able to see Tolstoy first. Tolstoy books are usually 1,500 pages for crying out loud. This was this big. And I thought, Tolstoy. And then I looked down before he went down, and I saw the title. And this is my engagement for you tonight or next week. You can do it. It's only 76 pages, fathers. Between Netflix and between your breviary, you put it in there, okay? The Death of Ivan Ilyich. That's the title. The Death of Ivan Ilyich, which is one of the last novel that Tolstoy wrote. I bought the book. I didn't have Amazon, so I had to go to the Libreria Vaticana, order the book, wait for 3 weeks for the book to arrive in Italiano. I read the book, and it meant absolutely nothing to me. And I said, well, I think I have to read it one more time. And while I was reading the second time, I was on the Terza Loggia on duty, and all of a sudden they call me, the Holy Father is coming, and because it's a small book, at least the version that I bought was tascabile, okay, I would put it into my pocket. But that day, instead of putting it into my pocket, because I finished the paragraph, I put it on the window seat behind me. Close the doors, tell the ascensoristi, block the elevator, the Holy Father is coming. I go up in attention, the Holy Father comes by, stops, starts engaging in a simple and very normal conversation how are you? Ciao, come stai? And he saw the book behind me. He didn't connect the dots. He didn't know I was talking to him, okay? He picked up the book. He picked up the book. And he looked at the book. I still have that book. Actually, my children, all of them read it. And he said, Mario, this book is about many things. The terrible, weak spots of the human heart. About the primacy of death. But most of all, is about the consequences of living without meaning. That is, without truth. Then he paused. Mario, be always for the whole truth, even when it hurts. He gave me the book back and left. And I stood there thinking, well, we are complex creatures, right? At least I am. Political and social beings with physical bodies that must function in an early world. We think, weigh evidence, and we judge. We reflect on the world about us. We wish to understand them, sometimes in order to make our way in it fruitfully, and sometimes simply because we are in awe of being itself, of the grandeur, the beauty, and the mystery of the universe, which prompt us to ask, why is there something rather than nothing? And why this particular something is something? So these questions, surely, they cannot all be answered over just a few years of primary or secondary or college level instruction, but a little help at the start in your schools will give the children the habit of reflection and the confidence to pursue the question that will make life meaningful, so long as they remain alive to learn. It is ironic, my beloved friend, that just as others around the world are realizing the downsides of specialized education, America seems to be doubling down on it, and the current manias for assessment, for testing, for trying to guarantee a return on investment, all point to a profound misunderstanding. Yeah, you can quote me on that anytime you want. Education is not primarily about making a living, it is primarily about making a life worth living. I see, I'm sure some of you probably as well, I see constant change in the prevailing education fashions, with each new fad, like clothing replacing the one previous, the textbook industries publishes and republishes science and math and history books at a pace that could make one believe that the staff of each course is in a constant state of flux, F-L-U-X, flux. Catechol education claims that both the nature of the mind and the way the mind knows are the same today as they were in the beginning. And this is hopefully what the dude this afternoon will grab, including you in what classical education is, joining a conversation that's been going on for the past 2,500 years. Perennial truth about nature is the proper object of Catholic education. The Pope told me. The Pope told me. Not the changing conjectures and opinions of today educational trendsetters. Scholarship, maybe Father Peter doesn't agree with me, but scholarship is much more than just getting straight A's. I'm teasing. It is a lifelong love of learning. Only those who love can educate. Because only those who love can speak the truth, which is love. And God is the true teacher. Guess why? Because God is love. Here again is the core, the incandescent center of all education activity, cooperating in the discovery of the truth, which God's love has impressed indelibly upon every person and which is preserved in the mystery of his own love. Educating means recognizing every person and speaking about every person the truth that is Jesus, so that every person might be set free. In conclusion, the philosophy of Catholic education, I basically say, rest on two foundational premises. Number one, that human beings are made in the image of God, and therefore possess the innate capacity to know and love both their creator and the fellow creatures. And number two, that in the words of Aristotle, and I quote, all men by nature desire to know. Mucho metaphysics. And therefore, with these two prerequisites, the ability and the desire to know, no education is possible without these prerequisites. Catholic education, as I understand it, affirms what I define an holistic humanism. Holistic holistic humanism. We strive to educate the whole person in accordance with his or her inherent dignity and worth. We hold that the development of the mind, the training of the will, the refining of the emotions, and the cultivation of the aesthetic sense are appropriate activities for creatures that bear the image of God. We therefore seek not merely, as I said at the beginning, to inform our students, to fill their minds, but to form them as persons by holding up for them the idea of the unity, the truth, and the will. As educator, we must accept as axiomatic the ancient view that the purpose of education is first and foremost moral, not utilitarian. Moral, not utilitarian. We affirm that one who wishes to live the good life must rise above the bread and circuses of mass culture. We do not educate to create more efficient workers, but freer and better persons. We held the traditional vision of what it means to be an educated human being, one shared by the greatest educator of the ancients, medieval, and even modern worlds. A free person, both virtuous and eloquent. While I acknowledge that, as John Henry Newman, I saw his book there, Catholic education makes not the Christian, but the gentleman. Catholic education makes not the Christian, but the gentleman. We see it as all of us, our responsibility to nurture our students' growth as spiritual as well as intellectual beings. In short, we hope to plant in them not only knowledge and virtue, but nothing less than the seeds of wisdom. Educating means recognizing in every person and speaking about every person the truth that is Jesus, so that every person might be set free. Pope Francis, I'm going to mention it, reiterated the need for Catholic education, for the need for Catholic school, the need for Catholic institution, and he asked to avoid, and I quote, isolating themselves in the world, and instead to, and I quote again, know how to enter with courage into the aerophagus of contemporary cultures and to initiate dialogue aware of the gift they are able to offer to all. End of quote. Let's do it. I know many bishops in the United States. I help them. I created a master program online at Catholic University. Those are the brochure. Why did I create a master program for you guys? Because I love you. I don't judge you. I want to help. But I'm a man, so my love sometimes can be a little tough. Especially because when a priest comes to me, a 53 years old business guy that now fell into a Catholic education, and he tells me that he's busy, my answer is, ants are busy. Ants are busy. You're not busy. You are incompetent on managing your time. Not because you are stupid, but because nobody ever taught you how to do it. You have no idea how to prioritize. You think you know it all. You sit in finance council that they should last 35 minutes, and 3.5 hours later, half of the agenda went through. It's not because you are stupid, because you don't know how to run a meeting. Because you have to study apologetics and homiletics, and in the seminary, they don't have time to introduce you the concept of administration and management. I created an MBA for priests, online. First class just graduated. If you go on newadvent.org, you will see an article of the 2 students of the first class. 1 week on campus, the remainder online. Next cohort, I have a dude from England coming, a priest from Clifton, England. Why? Because everybody is desperate. Because especially in the United States, believe it or not, when you become a pastor, you become a business person. You have to manage. As long as you don't go around saying, those hands were made for sacraments. Yes, we know. Absolutely, we know. I cannot get as close to God without you. But look, you need help, right? And if you get catapult, you become priest. Today, not many are aware of it, but if you are a priest in the Archdiocese of Detroit, before you become pastors, 8 years. You are a priest of the Diocese of North Dakota, with my dear friend Bishop Kagan and the University of Mary over there. You become priest, pastor, the day before the ordination. Okay? So you are 20 years old, you are in love with the Lord, you are in awe. Maybe you even went to the NEC. Do we have an Acadian here? Do we have a student that went to the NEC? You're there right now? Which year? Third, fourth? You're in the third year? Do you know the short guy from Vermont that always wear the hat?
Yeah.
Okay, what's his name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Tell Kevin that Mario says hi.
Okay.
Anyway, and you know probably Joshua Nevitt, Father Nevitt.
Yeah.
That just was okay. So they come back. Okay, think, the neck. People are throwing money at them like, manure on the grass. Okay, you go down to the neck. They have I used to go to the neck to play when I was a Swiss guard. There was absolutely nothing for crying out. They didn't even have the ice machine for ice water. Okay, so today you go to the cupola. Whoa, it looks like the El Barajai in Dubai. Okay, the 7 stars hotel. Okay, and then you look at them. What? This is my week off. I'm going to France. I'm going to Malta, which is fantastic. That's awesome. They should do it. Okay, but then they come back into the United States. And he's from which diocese are you from? Charlotte. Charlotte, where you're blessed. He's from Bismarck. And the poor bishop says, oh, by the way, you are going to become pastor 265 miles north of Bismarck, completely isolated. The poor guy who's in love with the Lord, dresses Gammarelli, including his underwear. Everything is from Gammarelli, okay? He goes 200 miles north of Bismarck on the border with Canada. He arrives there. There is a school with 70 students. He wants to do adoration, and he wants to put 6 candles on the altars. And the lady comes out, and she said, oh, Father, we don't use 6 candles here. It costs money. We do without candles. And the guy who's starting to sweat because of the silk of his underwears, okay? He doesn't know how to realize. He calls the chancery. I don't let me do 6 candles. And the chancery is, they don't want to hear the complaint. So why am I making you laugh? We want to help you. Business people want to help you. When I go to the NEC, every single time I go to the NEC, I have to sit with Father John Cash, which is the dean. I love Father John Cash. He's 4 feet tall. He's from Brooklyn, okay? But every single time I go there, he says, can I dress the salad? And I thought, sure. It scared the heck out of me. Because the guy starts, there is the red pepper, opens up, and he starts 16 spoons of red pepper into the salad. Then he takes sugars, excuse me, he opens 6 things of sugar, he puts the sugar and thinks, that's salad! What are you doing to the salad? You know, lemon, I said, what is this? But that's his way, his cope mechanism. In order for him to get ready to deal with definitely not a phlegmatic melancholia. He needs to set and mark his territory. And now they understand that making the salad is what allows him to prep the territory. In other words, to be in the 4 corners of the room. So that is his territory. And let him do it. And I can't stand that freaking salad. I can't stand it. But I let him do it. Because then we talk. And then we want to help. So in conclusion, the brochure is right there. The first class had 20 priests, so that you know, 3 vicar general, 17 between associate and pastors, from 18 different dioceses. The oldest dude was ordained in 1988, the youngest guy in 2015. You come 1 week on campus, the rest is online. If you remain on track, in 11 months, you get a Master of Science in Ecclesial Administration and Management from a Pontifical University, which is Catholic University. It's 30 credits, and the online cohort is designed to not stress you. It's not that, oh, I gotta go to class, I have to read my 9 iron. No. It's not yeah. On your day off, everybody's swinging the club, okay? No, they have to go, no, not the Capuchin, you can afford the class, okay? We know that fact, we don't worry about it, okay? But anyway, it's designed so that you can take it at your pace. The classes online are 7 weeks modules. All the lectures are recorded. It's a graduate degree, okay? And it's a combination between the School of Canon Law, the School of Theology, and the Business School. We lead it. And the course is, you know, human resources, temporal of goods. You didn't study temporal goods when you took the Canon Law. All it is about wedding, for crying out loud. Right? Marriage. But that's beyond. You're going to be a pastor. You're going to be a pastor in Jersey. And your building, school, is going to be empty. And then one day, you're going to find a tenant. And then you're going to be very excited because your Sunday collection is not like St. Matthew in Charlotte, 150 grand a week. You know, the richest parish all over the United States, St. Matthew in Charlotte. Not St. Anne in Naples, Florida. No, Charlotte. Okay? Charlotte. Now they have a new pastor, they're going to split it, looks like, right?
Yeah, it's my home parish.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
That's why he can afford the silk underwear.
There you go. Oh, come on, there you go. Anyways,
That's why it's
5,000 families.
like 11,000.
11,000. Amazing. Okay. Anyway, you are in a parish and you take the time. You know, I was going to say, you have an empty building now, all of a sudden. Think about it. You're going to find somebody that comes in, and then you're going to start getting rent. And then one day, you get a phone call from your moderator of the Curia that says, you got to come. You're going to go out there, and the moderator of the Curia is going to give you a file that is this big. He's going to put it in your laps, and he's going to say, you have to pay taxes to the town right now. The town wants a lot of money from you. And you're going to say, what? I thought that we don't pay taxes. Yeah, nice try. Every county in every state has a different law, for instance. So you have an empty school building that up until you use it as a shelter, or you keep claiming that you're doing your CCD classes, that's fine. But the people around you that don't like you, that despise you, they want to see you rot in hell. They're going to make sure to count every single human being that goes into that building, because when they catch that you don't need that building because you have 4 kids doing CCD class and they can come into your 6,500 square feet rectory, they're going to come and say that you have an empty building. And canon law says, because it's agreed on canon 1343, that an empty building, when you have up to 2/3 of the value of your real estate empty, the town is allowed to collect property taxes. And when you are in no matter which county, when you have buildings that are empty, we are talking big asset value, right? So you might have a school that's 15,000 square feet, is based, barely stands, okay? But the assessment office of your parish, actually of your town, assessed that building 1 million. And in that town, the property taxes is $35 per thousand, which means they're gonna come and say, hey, you need $35,000 a year in property taxes. And you say, wait a second, where am I gonna go? Now, I'm done with my show. You need help, we are providing. And it's a successful way to love the priest, to not judge you, but to simply give back what we can. From the secular world, we bring and we give it to you, right? Catholic education. Please, when the school gets in front of the bishop, decision is too late. Too many times I sat with Archbishop Chaput, and the school arrived, and Archbishop Chaput said, what am I going to do? They already spent so much time doing a due diligence. The only thing I can do is to go, what am I going to do? Go against. You can do it. I am doing it in New Hampshire. I am doing it in New Hampshire. 120 students, K through 12. Latin, Greek, mock trial, welding, soccer. On a campus that the grass is made out of stones. On a campus that on the winter when outside is minus 20, inside is 50, and don't complain because it's 70-degree different. You can go outside if you want to. Okay. The furnace is from 1935. The pastor there, okay, we are not his school, but he tries. He comes, he celebrates Mass for us on Friday. And guess what? The majority of the students of our school during consecration sit because they're not Catholic. They don't understand what's going on. The Mormons, they were reading their books during the readings. Now imagine the goosebumps when you see the Mormons putting the book down and starting to pay attention. Imagine the emotion of people not sitting down but standing up at consecration because they understand that something is happening. Catholic education is the only way that we can save this country. Judge Kavanaugh is a dear friend of mine. Dear friend. He is for Catholic education. He's going to do everything he can to create the voucher, and let's not politicize. I know we are all struggling. We have no money, we have no resources. We got to try. In conclusion, Mother Teresa, I met her many times. She teased me. She used to call me Sissy. Sissy. But she's the one that said, when you have no money, ask the Lord. He has plenty. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Where do you go from here?
Great.
Well, a couple things. One, Mario said something about, you're a teacher in a Catholic school, don't expect to make a lot of money. I want to piggyback on that for a second because that's something you all have to deal with. I used to tell my teachers, to their consternation, if I got $1 million grant tomorrow, I would not give you $1 more in your salary. Because normally priests say to people, if I had more money, I'd be happy to give you more. And my answer is no. You're here, you're being here, number one, knowing what you're going to get is already a sign of your commitment to the process. When we had Catholic Schools Week, I used to put together a two-sided page with the name of every faculty member, the salary I was giving that teacher, and what that teacher would get at the public school down the block. Some of the teachers didn't like it. They said, that's kind of dehumanizing. And I said, no, because I want the kids to know the sacrifice you are making. So our biology teacher was getting $40,000. If she went 2 blocks away, she'd get 65. And then what would happen? Kids would go to the teacher and say, huh? Why are you here if you can get 25,000 K down the block? I said, and that's your opportunity to say, I'm here because I want to make you a saint. I'm here for a sacrifice. And furthermore, I say to the teachers, there are trade-offs in life. If you come here for your 40K and you come to school in the morning with 2 arms, 2 legs, and your lesson plan, I can guarantee you that at the end of the day, you will leave with 2 arms, 2 legs, and having completed a lesson plan. And if that's not worth something to you, then you probably don't belong here anyway. I think we got to get rid of that inferiority complex of trying to compete with a government school system that has unlimited resources and does nothing with it anyway, and stop apologizing about this. When I hear about dioceses having policies that we have to be on par with whatever the public school teachers are getting, I want to retch, because it means those bishops don't understand the nature of Catholic education and the vocation of a Catholic school teacher. 2 entirely different operations.
Keep in mind, because the other people are out there, you have to be entrepreneur. I know, you didn't study to be an entrepreneur, but you have to think outside the box. Many times, you save your school going around the mountain, not fighting the mountains. You know how many parishes in Pennsylvania, instead of closing, the bishop dropped it, but the pastor picked them up. Because what makes a school is not a building and it's not a faculty. So when the pastor is an entrepreneur, or as we say in Italiano, c'ha le palle, okay? Quando il parroco ha le palle, he's going to go into the gym and he's going to say, okay, the diocese closes. But if we walk away from the diocese and you step up, we can win. And you lose a lot of overhead costs that you will not have, right? Second, the curricula is what attracts families, especially Catholic families. You know, families with 7, 8, 9, 10 children, you think that they can pay $50,000 in tuition in your parish school? I don't think so. Okay, curricula, you have to be different and, you know, walk away from common core, introduce the truth. And last but not least, in a parish, this is a friend of mine in Pittsburgh, where Father is. He was having trouble, and I said, dude, why don't you hire teachers that teaching is second job? In other words, they are not sustaining the family. They are as the second salary. And he told me, well, I never thought about that silly thing. This is what it means being an entrepreneur. Okay? Don't drop the school. School is not a building. School are not a budget. School are not numbers. School are not faculty. School are the family. Once the family identify you as a leader, the school will never cease. The moment you're going to go into the corner in a fetal position and start crying, the school will be back. Don't let that happen. I think it's time for you to take a break.
10 minutes, gents.
I'm going to give you my brochure.